We started. You were recording this meeting. Be sure to let everyone know that you are being recorded. Brenda, you are being recorded. Why is it pixelated at the beginning again? So we're gonna be 10 people are doing this or watching live. This is these project number 4s that I've been sending out. I sent you a bunch that are to do with health and wellness. We're gonna try this interview thing today and see how it goes and see if people like. We're gonna try and keep it as short as possible. I sent you a couple questions, or we came up with a couple questions. You got those. We'll answer those. I told you I had a question for you that you have no idea what it is to start off everything, and to get this going. So my question, you and I met. I learned a lot about you. We do some work together, and we met through Joe and Sarah's Learn Turn. But my question to you is, what pulled you away from where you were and the corporate world that you had? What made you get into this? How do you transition from, I don't know, traditional corporate job to this? Like, what drew you to this? And we've had this conversation, but that's why I wanted you to. It's a genuine answer from you. Like, what are you doing? What do you like this for?
That is a great question. You know what it is? I've always been kind of in leadership roles. I've always loved helping people grow. I've always looked at things from a different perspective in life. So I used to have like a horrible money story. Like my whole adult life, I was in debt. I felt like I could only make a certain amount of money when I was in corporate. And I kept seeing other people going through the same thing. And I changed my entire money story. Like I changed it all. I changed my beliefs around money, partially working with you also. So I started as a personal trainer, and I would see people having really great success, but then going back on their behaviors. Then I got certified as a nutritional therapist. Same thing. People would do really great. We'd combine them, then they'd go back on their behaviors. And so I started to realize it was all about our mind and how we have these beliefs that can limit us and keep us from reaching our goals and keep us from seeing things in different ways. And I became obsessed with the human mind. So in corporate, I was taking like leadership courses, but human development courses and human behavior courses. And then I got really interested in hypnosis outside of that. And I just I knew for a really long time, I didn't really belong in corporate. I was meant to be doing what I'm doing now because I just love helping people make more money and also find fulfillment in all of the areas of their life. Like it's not just money. So I was like, yep, I got to leave corporate and just do what I love doing full time. But having said that, it took me 10 years to get to that. I didn't just up and quit my corporate job one day. I had a plan. So
the 10-year overnight success. We talked about that, right?
Yeah. And because people look at it like, oh, you built a 6-figure business like the first year you left corporate. Yeah, but I had a plan. Like I didn't just wake up and go, oh, I think I'm going to leave my corporate job today.
This goes back, and I forwarded that to you. And for the people watching this video and deciding to watch it, that Chinese bamboo tree that you've been watering it for 10 years, right? And here you're seeing it grow. Yeah. Love it. And I need to be able to answer that without knowing the question ahead of time, genuinely. So before we get to the first question, I'll preface this for some people that one of the first things that drew me to you, and when we started chatting, the NLP, for people who aren't familiar with that, neuro-linguistic programming, the hypnosis idea. You said something to me early on, and you're like, Jared, I'm not going to make you quack like a duck or bark like a dog. It's not what I do, right? And I'm not going to dig back into your memory that you hated and pull it up. You're going to sit here and cry. It's not what you want to do. You told me that you want to go here, so that's where we're going to go. And that just automatically was like, done. Because we all have our stories, we all have our problems, and I could sit there and certainly use you as a therapist, but I'm like, I want to look at how to become the best husband, the best director, the best advisor, the best brother, the best friend. Like I want to improve there. And you were like, let's do it. So that really spoke to me, and this is what I'm hoping this video will do, is so people are see this world, and I call that a world of this conscious and subconscious mind, and call it the hypnosis idea, but they see it in a different light and like, all right, how can I train my mind? Can you train your mind? And just educate people on how to become better, reach their goals, things like that. So with that being said, let's tackle that first question so we can try and stay within a decent time frame. The conscious mind versus the subconscious mind, or the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Go.
So the best way to think about this is if you think about an iceberg, right? So the little tip of the iceberg, that's your conscious mind. You can see it. We're conscious right now. We're having this conversation. Your subconscious and the unconscious mind are the bits of the iceberg that are underneath that you don't see. Your subconscious mind is basically responsible for 95% of everything going on in your life. It's responsible for you breathing and your systems working and your heart beating and you being able to walk and talk and do all the things. Your subconscious mind takes everything, literally everything, but we'll get to that. Your subconscious mind takes in millions and millions of bits of information every day from all over from all over the place. Your conscious mind is about 5% of your brain activity. Your conscious mind can only really focus on 2 or 3 things at a time, which is what makes me laugh, because in corporate, they train you to be able to like multitask. Is one of the worst things you can do for your mind, because you're never truly able to focus properly. But that's a whole nother video. So your subconscious mind is where all of your beliefs are created and stored. And the interesting thing about this is your subconscious mind speaks one language, and that is the language of visualization. So, and we're going to talk about the hypnosis in a bit, but it's very important to learn how to speak to your subconscious mind so that you can create goals that you actually believe are realistic and possible for you to achieve. So subconscious is the most beautiful, most powerful supercomputer in the whole universe, and it lives inside of you. But just nobody ever teaches us how to work with it. So that's why I'm obsessed with the human mind.
When it comes to, the speaking to the subconscious mind, when you say things like that to me, I've been lucky enough to learn, sounds hokey, right?
Yeah.
Sounds how do I speak to the subconscious mind? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Would this be, am I in the ballpark? I mean, why, I always turn to athletes. Why athletes visualize something? I don't have a game until the weekend or a shot or something like that, but I'm going to sit here and imagine me winning or taking that shot, or the putt to win the Masters, or the foul shot to win the NBA, or the goal for hockey. But I visualize that. Is that subconscious, or what am I doing there?
It's subconscious. So the interesting thing about
Phone rang.
Hello there. This is real life. This is a live talk show.
We're recording.
But the interesting thing about your mind is when you set a goal. So if your goal is to get that shot or win the game or do whatever, it activates a part of your mind called the reticular activating system. And this is science, not woo. So that system acts like a filter. So it's like the spam filter in your email. It filters out what the most important thing is. And it helps you create a path to get to where you're going. Michael Phelps, the swimmer, years ago when he won the Olympics, like in Beijing or wherever it was, they asked him about his visualizing process. And he said, because when he won, his goggles had fogged up or water went in them. I can't remember specifically what it was.
Story there.
And he got out of the pool and people were like, oh, he doesn't even seem grateful that he won. He actually told his coach that previous to the Olympics, he had been visualizing problems happening. So he knew exactly how many strokes it took him to get to the end of the pool. He knew exactly how long things would take because he visualized what could go wrong, which I'm not telling people to specifically visualize all the things that could go wrong because we don't want you doing that. but that's showing you how powerful his mind is. So when the moment came and he couldn't see, he knew exactly what he needed to do because he trained his mind to remember it takes like 19 strokes to get to the end of the pool or whatever it was.
He'd been there. He'd already been there.
Yeah, he had already been there, seen it, done it, whatever. So when that system is activated in your mind, that's how you start to talk to your subconscious mind. You're visualizing what it is that you want. Now, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what has happened and what hasn't happened. And this is where people get weirded out. They're like, yeah, but if I'm sitting here going, oh, I've already accomplished this goal, but I haven't, then my mind is like calling bullshit on me all the time. How does that work? That's where subconscious conflicts come in. If you set a goal that's like, let's talk about money. Say you set a goal and you want to make $1 million, but you've never even made $100,000. And you're sitting there going, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. Your mind is literally going to sabotage you because it does not believe that is possible. Your conscious mind does not believe that is for you. So goal setting, also think of it this way, and we talked about this. You go to buy a new car and you're thinking about buying the new car, and then all of a sudden that car is like everywhere. That's that system kicking in because you are training your mind to look for the thing that is most important to you. And at that moment, it's the car. When you set your goal to reach a certain financial number, your subconscious mind opens you up to seeing possibilities and opportunities that might not have been there before because you weren't looking for them. And so that's where people think it's a little bit like, airy fairy as well. And I used to too. I was like, okay, whatever. When we focus and we play the video in our head or what it is that we want, you're literally programming your mind to help you achieve the goal. Your subconscious is a goal-getting machine, but you have to give it very clear direction. And that's where sometimes people get a little lost because they have really vague goals, like, oh, I want to make 6 figures. Your subconscious doesn't even know what that is.
Right. You know, and I can add to that because, you know, a lot what we do and advisors can attest this, whether they're established or young, and then directors, management, leaders, everyone who decide to watch this can see, you know, if we say we want to be successful, what does that mean? We try to break down to little goals, and I'll get you to add to that because we just chatted there about the dopamine hits, the chemicals that get released. You know, if we say make a bunch of calls, that's how you're going to get in front of people, and someone goes, all right. If I say, you know, make a day, or book, better yet, book 2 meetings a day. Don't care how you do it, book 2 meetings. And when you book those 2, bam, get that dopamine hit. And then I want you to book 2 tomorrow. And then from there, you know, we want you to try and do, you know, 1 application a week or 2 applications a week for your business. Bam, you feel good. So maybe elaborate on that and the dopamine thing, because you talked earlier about if you get too much dopamine, eventually it's harder for your body to produce. So explain that a little bit more detail.
So I want to break it down I want to take that and break it down. So there's goal setting, which everybody's heard of, and then there's setting intentions. And intentions, because this has been bastardized, it's not woo, it's you're saying I'm intending to do this thing. Setting a goal, you're focused on the future. You're focused on a destination or a specific thing. When you set an intention, it's present moment. So if you say, I'm intending to make 2 phone calls today, the odds of you actually doing that are very high. Because when you say, I'm intending to do this, your brain goes, oh, we're intending to do this. And it does it because it's present moment. The goal setting thing, also very important. When we set a goal and we reach that goal, there is that hormone called dopamine. It's released. It's why we get very motivated in the beginning of setting a goal to reach the goal, because we want the dopamine. the more you reach your goals, the harder it becomes for the dopamine to be processed, because we have this anticipation of this dopamine and this happiness hit. Oh, I like that, a happiness hit. We have this happiness hit,
I
right?
like it too.
And so we're working towards it, and then we get the goal, and it's like, oh. It's why you hear people that are like, well, I got my goal, but now I have to go set another goal right away, and I can't enjoy the present moment of being in this goal, because the dopamine hit becomes less. So it's a challenge, because when you reach that goal and the dopamine drops, it's really hard for you to biochemically keep making that level of dopamine. And so then you start creating beliefs. If I want that dopamine hit, I've got to work harder. I've got to work harder to make more money. I've got to work harder to reach the goal. I've got to work harder to do the things. And that's a false belief. We also have to look at goals. The other reason goal setting kind of leaves you disappointed is that it moves you towards what you think you want, right? Because you're like, oh, I want this thing. And it takes you out of enjoying the present moment. Mm-hmm. And when we are not able to appreciate and be grateful for all of the things we have in the here and the now, it tells your mind that what you currently have isn't good enough. And that creates a belief and can cause people to live in scarcity and lack mode. There's never enough. There's not enough to go around. I'm not good enough. So it's a very interesting kind of cycle, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I loved all that. I'd say we ended here because we're at 17 and a half minutes. What I want people to do, and I'll put this in the email as well, is if they have any comments, questions, and they want to hear more about it, they're gonna email them to me, and then we'll do maybe another session where we'll just read them right off and respond to them, right? Or you'll respond to them.
Yeah.
Any last words for anyone in terms of, I don't know, what you do? Any last words? What's something they can what's a takeaway for them today, if there is anything? If we can do that in 2 minutes.
Yeah, be very specific about what you want to create in your life. So
the more detailed,
yeah.
Whether it's goal, and I've tried to work on this too. The more detailed, the better. So I want to make 100 grand. Okay, how do you want to make 100 grand per week, per day, per minute, per hour, or per hour, per minute? Go right down how to make them, how many calls, how many people. I mean, the more specific, fair to say, it's easier for your mind.
I would also say that don't worry so much about how it's going to happen, because then you get stuck in future thinking. Write down specifically what you want, and your subconscious mind is going to help you find those opportunities. Yes, you need to take action. Yes, you need to make calls, but don't get focused on, I want to make $100,000. How am I going to make that happen? Because it'll be very hard for you to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Just be specific about what you want to create, and your mind will help you take the actions and set the intentions that you need to do. Oh, I intend to make 2 calls today. Oh, I intend to see 5 clients in the next week. Whatever it is, be specific and dream big. Don't set a goal based on what you think you should ask for. Mm-hmm. Oh, realistically.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm a dreamer. You've learned that about me. I tell everyone that. The people who know me will attest to that. I think to add to this, we talk about making 100 grand, or we've talked about making 100 grand, or the client calls. This applies to everything, because you've helped me in other areas of my life too. But personal, if you want to lose weight, if you want to get to the gym, for some established advisors on here who are looking to maybe move on to the next chapter of their life, what do they do with their business? How do they get to that, right? Is it traveling? Is it friendships? Is it relationships? I think this applies to everything, because if I want to be better at this, then what are the little things or goals that I can do to get better at that particular part of my life? So we'll end it there. You're awesome. You are.
You're awesome.
And we will see if we get any comments or questions back, and maybe we get to do this again.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. See ya.